All right. I'd like to call the Board of Trustees meeting to order and welcome. And number 2, pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Ermeling.
Here.
Feeny.
Here.
Maloney.
Here.
Manel.
Here.
White.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Zagami.
Here. Okay, thank you. Public comments. I've got actually 3 requests, and anybody got their hands up, Nate? No, put your hand back down. Yeah, no, okay. All right, so first I'm gonna call on Nick Hvac with just up to the podium, Nick, and state your name and record, first name and address for the record, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Nick Hvac with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Sports Authority, 4097 North Poplar Road, Rosholt. Good evening, everyone. And again, I'm with the CBB, and I just wanted to make a couple comments. First of all, congratulations, everybody down Camp Phillips Road. There are some beautiful things going on. I see so far they've just got administrator's office, the tower going up so far, but I had to get a kid, Keith and stuff like that. But anyhow, no, more importantly, had some great events here in Weston. Just real quickly reported, I know the Tourism Commission heard this. We had a 5K for the veterans here in the village, showcased the Mountain Bay Trail and the Eau Claire River. Beautiful run. It was a 5K at Dale's Weston Lanes. That'll be something that will continue for many years. We had some great feedback. Coming up here at the end of the month, we have a Halloween over at the Premier Sports Academy. I have a martial arts event for the Badger State Games. I'm dressed really inappropriately because a couple great things happened today. First of all, we loaded up the CBB into a full-size semi. Those of you don't know, and many of you probably don't, we are relocating the CBB. For strategic reasons, it's going to be something for the future. We're moving it out to the interstate. It's if some of you have been around for a while, it's the old Shakey's building. It's right by the State Patrol headquarters, right behind the store gas station on the way to the Granite Peak. So we're excited about that. We purchased a building there, but we have a lot of work to do to make it a beautiful and something we can all be proud of in the greater Wausau area. And then another great thing that happened and started today that I am super excited about, and I know my colleague Jody McGuire at the CBB as well. It's been, needless to say, a long time coming, but I'd like to introduce the new executive director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau here of the greater Wausau area, and Mr. Tim White, if he wanted to come up, say a few words, but thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Tim, your name and address for the record.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Maloney. Tim White, 225-721 Swan Avenue, Wausau. No relation to Lauren that I know of. I am very, very excited to be the new executive director of the greater Wausau area CVB. We're committed to reinvent the CVB so that everyone benefits, all the municipalities, businesses, event sponsors, the entire community. The greater Wausau area is a great place to come to. My goal is to market this place, this geographic area as a destination place for people to come to and spend long periods of time. I'm also committed to transparency and to communicate with the municipalities and the other leaders in the area so that we are all on the same page. And so we'll be meeting together and getting together on an ongoing basis. Looking forward to working with Weston, and hopefully you'll be looking forward to working with us as well. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Tim. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right, and we have a public hearing comment, and it's also agenda, Jim Pinsall.
Good evening, Jim Penstone, 5002 Arrow Street, Weston. I'm here tonight to talk about some inconsistencies with the village occupancy surcharge policy and form. There's just simply a misunderstanding with how it's written between the occupancy surcharge form and the village fee schedule. These inconsistencies are not uncommon, but if not addressed and remedied, they create perpetual confusion. The mobile food vendor or food truck license permit was one such example I personally encountered earlier this year. I had a vendor set up in my facility who was operating in capacity to raise monies for a nonprofit organization. The food truck permit stated he was exempted from the form due to the nonprofit operation of the business, just like when there's a brat fry for the Boy Scouts at Ace. However, the zoning code states he must fill out the form. Staff have been letting other nonprofits slide, like the brat fries at Ace. Upon further investigation and about 10 hours of my own research, I was able to assist the village clerk in bringing the code and license form back to this board in order to have it amended so they're consistent with each other. Tonight's situation is very similar. The form I signed and authorized the $5,000 deposit for clearly states that upon receiving occupancy from the municipality and meeting international building code and state inspection criteria, that the fee will be returned. I have done this. The village building inspector, safer fire inspector, and state of Wisconsin commercial building inspector have all passed my building. I was granted occupancy and did not occupy the building before such time. On the village fee schedule, it does not even list an option for a commercial occupancy surcharge. Rather, it states there is a completion surcharge, which it goes on to state that is for completion of 100% of the site plan and meeting all occupancy requirements. I understand that village staff may be interpreting this form a certain way for 18 plus years, but it does not make it right. For over 144 years, women were not allowed to vote in the United States of America. Not until 1920 was this changed. Ask any woman today if they are allowed to vote, and they will tell you that they are, with the exception of felons, illegals, etc. This situation is no different. It should be addressed, reviewed by the village attorney, staff, and the planning commission so that a reworked policy can be adopted that is clear and transparent. The mention of trees being removed on someone else's property has nothing to do with my site. There could have been 0 trees next door and my property is still in compliance. The property to the west of me is zoned institutional and is deemed a historic burial site. This particular property is in the process of pending litigation and will likely be returned to Marathon County or to the village of Weston. At that time, then it would be appropriate to ask for them to remove stumps, reseed, or make other improvements necessary. No buffer yard is required between B2 and an institutionally zoned parcel per current zoning code. Yes, there were trees on my parcel that died during construction. There are still more than enough existing trees on my parcel to have adequate points to satisfy the village landscape calculator. The existing trees are located beyond 15 feet from the parking lot, so that is why there is a conditional use amendment hearing scheduled for next month, which I paid for, to discuss shifting the points from the hard surface category to the general yard category with the planning commission. The deviation from the landscape plan, the other deviation from the landscape plan I had was that I split the 2 large landscape beds shown into 9 smaller beds of greatest surface area than the original shown to accommodate a change in plan, which included a sign, which was applied for and approved by the village, and Wisconsin Public Service installing a transformer, which we were not told about when we asked them to engineer the site. We landscaped around it to make it look less unsightly. My intent is, and always has been, to build a compliant site. If this was not my intent, I would have chalked the $5,000 up to a loss, built a plain steel building. I never would have followed the submitted plans. I would not have paid thousands of dollars in municipal fees and legal fees to continue to amend site plans and conditional use permits. I would have built an ugly tin can with a gravel parking lot and went on fixing cars. You can see that I've been true to my word. I'm still working through the amendment processes. I built what I said I would, and I have one of the most attractive automotive repair facilities in the county and definitely the best looking in Weston. Sorry, Jason. Reworking of this policy cannot happen this evening, and I'm not asking for that. I'm simply asking that the board refund the $5,000 occupancy surcharge as per the terms I agreed to in March of 2021 when I spent $5,000 of my hard-earned dollars. Furthermore, I'm asking to be paid interest on the funds which have been withheld unlawfully. The contractual document I signed makes no mention of a 100% site plan completion.
Thank you, Jim. At this point, we can go into board discussion, yes, but not with Jim or yes with Jim?
I guess that would be your decision, how you want to, this isn't a public hearing, it's just,
Right.
it's an item for consideration. You know, I think the staff recommendation is that we remain true to the policy as it's been enforced or implemented, I guess enforced over time. And it's
You're talking about the $5,000 issue.
Right.
I'm more talking about how do you want to proceed? I'll take comments from the board. Lauren?
I have no preference.
Okay. Anybody have a preference? Steve? Anybody?
My only thought is that it's listed under public
Right,
comments.
right.
And that certifies as public comment.
Mhm.
So then if there's discussion, it should be exclusively the board.
I would agree, and only because if we engage with you, Jim, then it's, you know, it's gonna be your perception, and then we should probably bring in staff's perception too.
Sure.
So I think, let's, we all heard the public comment. Now we'll take a discussion and possible action, okay? All right, thanks, Jim. Yep. Go ahead, anybody, wanna start?
Well, I guess, and I'm not sure if this is the reason for the ordinance, but I know that staff has a hard time sometimes where people will give a plan and they've got approval for that plan, but somewhere along the line as things go on, some things change. And they have a hard time getting, say if they return the funds, getting them the new
To
person
comply.
to comply with what is required. And sometimes this is the only way they have to get compliance to, you know, and to come forward with the plan changes. And it's not necessarily that the change is bad or good or anything else. It just means it has to come before the.
Okay.
And that's my thought.
Lauren?
My only concern is that there should be consistency between the form and the interpretation of the ordinance. If a form says one thing and village policy says another thing, that should at least be corrected.
Yes.
I think moving forward, we are gonna take a look at some of these issues. Administrator Donner has said some issues with landscaping, I think we're gonna take a look at. I think the two issues here tonight are landscaping and the light poles, correct?
Those are the light poles is the uncompleted part of the project.
And the light poles are listed in the documents I saw today as back ordered, but not really back ordered. They're just not available because of COVID. I mean, or whatever else you wanna call it. I don't care if it's COVID or anything, but I know electrical components, something I could have gotten one day, it took me almost 3.5 months to get. So if that's the reasoning, I mean, it might be 8 months, it might be 10 months before we get that. And then the landscaping is something that I think is coming back next month. So,
But even the landscaping was a minor.
right, very minor, and it's something we may take up and look at. So what I didn't see in any of the documentation today was some of the conversation you and I had on the signature. That's not in there anymore?
On the signature,
Mm-hmm.
for the development agreement,
I didn't see that in there at all.
right, that
That's
was
gone?
left out of the discussion.
That's gone?
That was
Okay.
that was a suggestion, a way to kind of resolve it, to sign the developer agreement that was, that goes along with the project at this stage.
But it's kind of like, if I want to strike my parking lot and we'll allow you, but that dirt pile over there, could you move that? Because we don't, we'd rather not have it there. So it's kind of, it doesn't actually loop into what we're talking about. It's kind of like redoing a road with another municipality and then them asking that we would repaint our water tower. So that's kind of where that signature would be too?
No,
Is that why it's left out?
That's not how I would just,
Okay,
Sure.
but it is left out.
The development agreement would be, as I understand it, somebody commit some of the complete plans as they were presented and approved. I guess if I'm misstating that, Jennifer, you can let me know.
Anybody else on the board?
Is the ordinance and this application, and these are all in harmony together? They all agree what we're saying in the ordinance and what they did up there? Is that done?
Well, this project follows a conditional use process, so that involves public hearings and so forth. And if you do a site plan in an area that has permitted uses by right, then it can actually be approved by staff without even having to come to planning commission, provided all of the conditions are met that comply with code. I don't know, Jennifer, you wanna?
So because that site wasn't that way and it had to go through conditional use, and then now this is the process moving forward, okay?
But there's no
So-
discretion, I mean, it just strikes me as odd that we wouldn't wanna make it easier on staff to have it in the ordinance that minor changes to the plan should be acceptable without having to go through the expense of a new developer's agreement, new attorney's fee, or new, cost of a recording developer's agreement and all of that. It seems to me that we could make it a little bit simpler.
As long as it doesn't fundamentally change the character
Correct,
of the proposal. Yeah.
I mean,
So by right, it could be handled by staff. So then by
Is that
going,
what a condition?
So there is something in the code that allows for like minor modifications. The entire landscaping plan is totally different than what was.
no, let's go back to just the basic, let's say that site was acceptable for his project. And we didn't need to have a conditional use,
Yeah.
then everything could have been right through staff.
Yeah, so there's different approval
Yep.
authorities.
So now it went through planning to get a conditional use, okay? And then from that point on, it still stays in that path, it doesn't somehow revert back to,
Right now, the way
Why?
it's written, the plan commission is the site plan approval authority, so an amendment has to go back through that.
Mhm.
We would have to make a change to it to allow for us as staff to do that.
right, and I get all that, but let's just talk about the initial, if by right it was zoned correct to have that auto repair shop there, then staff could handle it all the way through.
As long
Correct?
as they follow.
Okay,
code. Yep.
So now it goes to the plan commission and it gets a conditional use. Why then at that point, when it's, I mean, in my mind, then it would be by right and then staff could handle it the rest of the way.
It's not the way conditional uses are handled.
Is that all conditional uses that way?
Yeah. So.
I mean, that doesn't make, to me, it seems like you have to go down two different paths all the way. When once you give it the right to build, we're saying yes, then why can't staff handle it from then on out?
It would require a change. Prior to this code,
Mhm.
the board actually was the final say on conditional use permits, so it actually went to two
Right,
meetings.
I remember that.
So now the board is actually an appeal. So if the plan commission decides to turn down a conditional use permit, that's the appeal process for the applicant
Okay.
instead of going to the zoning board of appeals.
I'll just go back to my original question, what we approved, what the planning commission approved, what the conditional use was there, did they meet all those requirements?
Well, I guess that's a question for the inspectors and the planning development director, but my understanding is no, that's why we're back for a hearing again at the next meeting for planning commission.
Well, why didn't he admit that? I think if we approve it, planning commission approved that, they agree with it, according to development agreement, they should meet those requirements. And you didn't ask anything extra beside what we approved here. Am I correct?
There's a change that was made to what was
Change what?
previously approved.
The applicant modified the plans. So when Roman went out to do the final inspection for the site plan, it did not match plan.
Okay.
What was approved by the plan commission. So there's a section in the zoning ordinance that states that well, and actually it's in the approval letter, any modifications need to be brought to the site plan approval authority before they are done. So this was actually done, and then when it was time for the inspection, that's when it was caught.
So if I'm understanding this right, the Board of Trustees is the appellate body for CPUs and for CPUs. And the thing being appealed is whether or not the site plan, whether or not the site plan is complete. Am I understanding the?
But that's,
I think the only thing,
He's asking for his $5,000 completion surcharge to
Okay.
be refunded with interest.
Right.
That's something that staff cannot do.
I think that's really the topic for the board tonight, I guess, there's, as we talk about making modifications, I think there's a couple of suggestions in here too, to what we might consider doing. Let's say people get to a point where they're mostly complete, you can ask for what's the value of those remaining improvements, kind of like retainage on a construction project. Okay, then we want you to put up a bond to cover that if it doesn't get done, and then we have some way to enforce completion if it doesn't happen. I mean, that's not in place at this point. The only thing we have right now is the completion surcharge.
I think in the spirit, I think we're primarily talking about the building, building, parking lot, pavement, curbing, all that. That's all done. That's all done right to the letter. We're talking about some poles that
that you can't get.
are back ordered, that we can't get, they're ordered. And then we're talking about landscaping. Whether it was an 18-foot bed and now 2 9-foot beds. I know it's not exactly the same. I know there's some trees cut on the west side property, but that's what we're talking about. And the signature is out, so.
I think in this case, you may look at it this way, but if somebody, and in the past, I know that people have given a certain landscaping plan. And then when they go in there, it's nothing like what they agreed to. I mean, what was, supposed to be. And staff has been trying to get them to do it. Well, if they don't have anything to fall back on, what are you gonna do? How can you enforce them to do what was approved by the planning committee and the staff? I guess, the polls, I can agree that would, if that was the only thing holding it up. But I can't, I guess.
I think the trees that died along the side of the parking lot though, you can undie them or replant them.
Well, no.
Problems that what I'm saying is we have pine trees where we are and it's terrible on the car. It isn't good. So having the pine trees die is probably a good thing for them considering the business.
I don't like pine trees, I agree with you.
Right. So the idea though is that there still is other quantities of trees, maybe not in this location, but 50 feet away, there's the rest of the trees that didn't die when they put it in the driveway.
Well, that I think is a planning committee thing. I think our question here now is, did he comply with what the rule is on the 5,000 for completion? And I guess, if he can, I think he's going to a meeting next week or something to get the approval on that.
But it's another meeting he had to pay, to get. Same.
That's something
Yeah.
that maybe the planning committee has to look at.
And we should look at
The village board is not, our question here is, should we pay him his money plus interest? And if you're talking paying this plus interest, my answer is no.
Well, we have a lot of options. We could pay the money back without interest. He's asking for both,
He's
but
complied,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but
we wouldn't have to.
I think the project is not done.
Mhm.
So the pole is back over there. Yeah, but that's the part of the construction. That's what it is. And according to the ordinance, according to all the requirement, when he complete the project, then he can request to get his money. The project is not done.
Right, but I would hope that we could show a little consideration for the COVID situation that we have or the supply chain issues that are out there. I'm just saying, these are some unique times that we've gone through over the last 18 months. I don't see why we just don't give him the money back and be done. And if he needs to get something changed on the landscaping, then we address that. But I'm just saying, it just seems like it's overly harsh to me.
Mr. President, I just have I guess just a suggestion out there. I don't even know if it's possible to do it, but is it possible to give him 50% of it back to him, and then upon completion of all the light poles and the landscaping, returning the remaining amount back to him? Is that something we're allowed to do?
I think it's up to discretion of the board, of whatever you wanna do.
Because I guess what I'm trying to do is to kind of play the middle ground, going along with what Steve said. I want to be understanding of the COVID situation, but I also want to make sure that we give staff the ability to also enforce it in the future as well too. So that's what I would be comfortable with that. I would not be comfortable with interest, but that's my compromise.
Director Higgins, other than the light poles, what's missing from completion?
The plan commission has to approve a new landscape plan. So
Okay.
it's going to public hearing on November 8th.
Is there a substantial difference between the original plan and the new plan?
Yes,
Can you go into a little bit of detail?
the entire plan is different. He explained it a little bit, but basically there's a point system, and he removed some of the foundation landscaping. The beds are different. There used to be 2 beds on each street, one on each street front. Now there's 2 different ones. The trees along the west side were removed, and that was actually during the first public hearing. He advocated to keep those trees in that landscape plan. So we don't have the authority. To me, it's a major change. It's the entire landscaping plan is different. So it wasn't just, a few plants. If you looked at the landscape plan, it doesn't look anything like what is out there right now.
What's your pleasure?
I move to adopt trustee Zhang's proposal to return $2,500 to Mr. Pensnalt without interest, and the understanding that this is due to a global supply chain shortage.
Motion by Feeny,
I will second it. I just want to clarify, trustee Feeney, is that the remaining 25% will be returned, the remaining 50% will be returned upon completion of the project.
Of course, yeah.
The landscaping, it isn't just the
Correct,
pole.
Right. The entirety of the plan.
so second by Zong. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, you have a division of the assembly?
Sure. Roll call, please.
Ermeling,
Aye.
Feeny,
Aye.
Maloney,
Aye.
Binell,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Zagami.
Aye.
So carried. Other comments? Nate, any more? No? Okay. Thank you. Minutes from previous meetings, 6/9/2021 Board of Trustees meeting. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Move to approve by White, second by Ermeling. On the discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Number 7, 9/29/2021 Joint Board of Trustees and Planning Commission meeting.
Move to approve?
Move to approve by Feeny, second by O'Shane. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Reports, minutes from boards, committees, and commissions.
Move to approve items 12 and 16 jointly?
Second.
Motion by Feeny, second by White. On the discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Let's see, reports from departments, 21 administrator.
We have some
we have a little presentation on, some photos and things that have been taken on a building project site. You could look at those under my report, or we can wait until the, we have an item for the project, a change order. You wanna look at it there, or, I don't know, Mike, can you cue that up?
I seen walls up today.
So there is a.
Last week it started.
There is an on-site camera there that, that has been put up.
This is a drone though, right?
It takes a, now these are drone photos that have been taken by, from the village staff, so this one, so there's a date up here that Nate put up in the top right-hand corner. So I don't know if you wanna scroll through that, you can kind of see the progress of the site, you have foundations, footings, I should say, going in. September 7th, you know, a little bit more progress on that. Wasn't a lot you could really see going on for a while. But this is September 13th, does it say?
It's like, they're like a month or a week apart, yeah.
21st.
We got 3 cranes there now. Oh, man.
So now we got, more footing foundations in on the, whatever date that was. In October here, get the foundation insulated. Again, more, it doesn't, until you start seeing some of the panels go up, it doesn't really look too dramatic. You can see the elevator and stairwell enclosures being blocked in there.
So the big hole back there, that was where the wash bay was, right? Then they had to put some stuff underneath there, right? It's now I see like a concrete, yeah, right there. Right? Or no?
Yeah, they've been doing
Okay.
underground, they've been doing under
Yeah,
slab plumbing,
yeah, okay,
for the last several weeks.
okay.
October 8th, this was the previous, this was last Friday.
So right down in the bottom, you can see some three-dimensional, you can see that coming up in the area. The administrator's deal.
No, yeah, well,
I can't believe Nick said that.
in a different corner.
Wow.
This is from the 12th, so, yeah, is that the right date on there?
Yeah, well,
The, oh yeah, we got, so there's precast panels that have gone up, so this aerial view doesn't show you that very well, so we have some, other video on the site.
Is the fence goes around the entire piece of property?
Right now, it's just a construction security fence,
Yeah, but just the front or the whole thing?
it's just along the front right now,
Oh,
then they're gonna get the
Okay.
fence around the entire site as, you know, part of the project as it progresses. So, brings us to tomorrow, actually, doesn't it? No, tomorrow's the 17th.
I did access the website.
Tomorrow's actually the 19th.
Which, the time lapse works
Going backwards.
much more interesting than this, no offense.
Yeah, so I think Nate has that video that was taken of the first panel being, the first precast panel being set.
I don't have that out. Let's see. I can just show you the time lapse,
Okay, show one of those.
Mike, on that. Grab this.
Everybody has found the link. So this camera's taking pictures every 15 minutes.
Really? What, from 7 to 5, 7 to 7, what?
Times shown, I think it's like from 6 AM to
Are
probably
they gonna-
5 PM.
Are they gonna move the camera? I mean, are you gonna,
No, it's in one spot.
okay.
I think what you see there, that's a 2 days work.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what I was seeing today.
Yes.
So this gives you the ground level view of how the panels have been installed, and then steel there is for the office area.
Okay.
There's supposed to be some more panels being set next week. And they're predicting the building shell will pretty much be ready by the end of, or by the, like probably the end of November, or beginning of December, but then the roof enclosing the building around the holidays.
Are these precast being made, or are they all made already? Are they made so much, I mean, you guys went together and visited. Are they being made as we speak, or are they all made already and just stored somewhere?
No, they're still there because there's quite a bit of it.
Right,
I think it's like 250 of them,
well,
my number is right.
Yeah, that's the number I remember, 240 or 250.
So, but the way they deliver it is when they're ready for the portion,
right, then they come,
Sitting on
they
site.
give a signal, we
Yeah.
want you to bring this area.
okay.
And then he has a crew, they lay out how they're gonna bring this panel in. There is a group of 4 or 5 of them, they organize this, which area come first, which the hallway was first, and the remaining elements just, they tell them to bring it and they bring
Is
it.
that Myron's crew, or is that the manufacturer's?
No, that's a Myron crew,
Oh, okay.
that's a Myron crew. And then when you watch them, they really, the crew they doing this part are very experienced.
Well, it's true, the earth is round.
At that moment.
Yeah, at that moment, there you go.
Only that moment.
Good. Good stuff.
Okay, Plan Commission on, last Monday, there was some discussion about the status of TID number 2, Tax Increment District number 2. And, I did follow up with Glenn Johnson. We are gonna be making a decision on the fate of TID 2, whether we wish to propose to, expand the project plan in any way. We need to do that before the 15th of April of the coming year, or adopt a resolution to close TID 2. I guess the only other thing is that I mentioned to President Maloney, I'll be going to Madison on Wednesday to attend and provide some testimony at a Assembly bill hearing at the state capitol.
And you made it, I got the feeling that you thought I was in that meeting. It's actually Barb's there representing on the 20th.
On the GRB?
Yeah.
Um,
No?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
You board, yeah.
so
okay,
I felt it was me, I just felt like you were thinking it was me on the 20th,
oh,
but it's
I
actually
guess I'm
Barb.
just pointing out the meeting was there. so
Yeah,
I got-
it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen,
If I missed that,
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it's here, yeah.
Yeah, it's here. I was just looking at the minutes today, or the notes.
It's mostly,
Okay.
I didn't.
But any other questions for the Minister Donner? 22, clerk.
I have no comments here, but once we get to the resolution on the redistricting, I have some comments.
Okay.
it's the 20th.
23, finance. Anything for Jessica? Nothing to add? Okay, good presentation tonight. Thank you. No report from Fire EMS, but do you have anything to add, Josh?
Just a couple things quick. Next week is the Wisconsin State EMS Association Convention. It's known as WIMSA. For many, many years, 27 years or so, it was held in Milwaukee. 2019, it got moved to Wisconsin Dells, and this year they're actually moving it here. So I don't know how attendance is gonna be. I think a lot of people like going to those areas where there was more things to do. But one of our ambulances, we recently got an ambulance 3 or 4 months ago. The company that built that ambulance for us is asking that we could have it on display at that conference. So it will be in the expo hall on display. In return, we still have another ambulance on order from them that's been delayed because of a chassis delay. They're gonna knock $1,000 off of that unit for allowing them to use
But
ours.
they're also gonna detail.
They are.
Big time.
They're gonna detail it inside and out. I told them if they wanted to detail it, they could have it every year, but,
Could you invite Ed Klein and make sure it is detailed correctly?
sure.
All right, good.
We have that. The chief is out of the office sick and will be for about the next week or so. And I had one other thing that I forgot what it was. Hang on one second here. I made a note. I figured I would forget. Otherwise, call volume is up through this entire year. So we're gonna be at the end of the year, probably in the 300 to 400 calls above the year prior. So we continue to be pretty busy. Other than that, nothing significant.
Thank you.
Steel season will be starting soon.
Anything more for
Turf scheme.
Chief? Thank you.
Deputy Chief, where are the biggest areas of increase for the additional 300 to 400 calls?
As far as, EMS versus fire?
Yeah.
It's mostly EMS. Our fire calls are probably gonna be up a little bit this year also, at least it's trending that way, but it's certainly majority of EMS, which is typically where we're at.
And is that-
Everything goes that way. All I've been hearing is sirens, but
Okay.
Is that drug overdose, COVID, or?
It's a mixture of everything. It's really not COVID. We truly get very, very, very few COVID patients.
Thank you. Park and Rec. Anything, Sean?
I do have a report in the packet, and also just want to share with you, we got a card in the mail from the DC Everest Rolling Readers. If you weren't aware, they're a group that set up to distribute books, free books to kids in the summer. And they set up at the Aquatic Center this year.
Oh, okay.
In the past, they had set up at Kennedy Park, Williams, so they kind of moved it around. This year, they set up right up front at the Aquatic Center, and they just sent a thank you note for allowing that to take place.
Okay. Anything more for?
I saw that there was $100,000 difference on estimates for the aquatic center. What was out of morbid curiosity, what was the big difference in those estimates?
You're talking about the filter system?
Yeah.
It's basically the design of the systems.
Okay.
So, based on the discussion at Park and Rec Committee, was to, work with a engineering firm to get a consistent design. That way we get more accurate quotes instead of on a system, instead of two companies designing their own systems.
Okay.
So that's how that project's planning on moving forward. I do have an update. I guess we had the ad out there for the ice rinks for the upcoming season. We have over 200 hits on the application with nobody applying.
Okay.
So I just looked at it today and like 232 hits with no applicants, so. I mean, it's only a couple positions and it's, a few hours a week, but, I figured we'd struggle filling those couple positions because there's a lot better paying jobs out there that are not being filled right now, so.
I was just gonna say.
Okay. Anything more? Any other questions? No, a nice picture post, by the way, with that, those things up, what was it, Girl Scout?
Yeah, the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that, so, glad you added that. Planning and development,
I don't have any.
anything more? No? Okay, any questions for Jen? You got off easy. 27, refuse recycling update, that's also you? Or is,
That would be Valerie's update if you have any questions.
Yep. anything there you wanna add or ask? Thank you. Chief Schultz, please.
I don't have anything other than what's in my report unless you have questions.
Okay, any questions for Chief?
How many are currently out for FMLA or other illness at the moment?
None on illness currently. We have 2 in field training and 1 vacancy yet to fill. That's where we're at. Not gonna look, because it seems to come and go very quickly. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Are we still on skeleton crews for the moment?
Yeah, with training, we're running three on at a time.
We did get the budget passed?
Got the budget passed, yeah.
3 communities?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Public Works, Michael.
There's nothing really additional. I did send out an email of a presentation I gave to the Public Works Committee last week, Monday, I think that was, so. Just trying to.
Anything to ask? No? And you're not blued out by technology, Nate, anything?
I do want to give you some information on that quiz that we.
Oh, yeah,
found.
what is it?
You don't want to put it in the packet because it's still open to the public.
I heard one of our trustees flunked.
Well,
That's why I didn't take it.
there's been 581 entries. It's a really good turnout, 22 correct. submissions. Again, still open, so I don't wanna like give out any answers, but I'll just show you a little bit of data. McDonald's question.
And you had some of the answers right in there. You had the map in there that would have helped anybody.
So after you took the quiz, then you got a map, so you could retake it.
Some of those locations are really confusing.
Right.
When I first started in law enforcement, I actually had to have somebody drive me there and show me where those borders were. But after you see it once, it's like, oh.
Yeah, Brian Kowalski with City Pages actually wants that, so I don't know if I'm sure he got that. He wants that for his reporters because they get it wrong all the time.
Somebody asked me once about Walgreens. And I said, Walgreens, yes, sign no.
Yeah.
There's a wedge of property, the parking lot is in the city of Schofield, which.
You used to be able to stand where that quick
Between
loop
Danny's
or
Lounge and-
whatever, and you would
Sure.
do a shot, and that's how you knew where it was.
The two biggest mistakes were Palms, which was understandable.
Yeah.
But Sam's Pizza was the biggest.
Because it dips in and comes back out.
Oh, the McDonald's used to be in the
Yeah.
town of Weston.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was annexed.
Right.
But as you can see, Sam's Pizza was
Wait, what was?
Sam's Pizza.
that was the big one, I guess, that.
They should have said Wausau. There is one in Wausau.
There is, yes. So I just wanted to share that data with you.
Sometimes it's also how the business identifies themselves.
Right.
If they're still using, Schofield. So
I think that's the case with.
during the Schofield debate, Keith and I were on an email stream with a business person on Schofield Avenue, and the first initial contact, Keith forwarded it to me and I got inside it and I said, it was a very, very well written, very respectful. And I said, just look at the bottom, look at his, how he identifies himself, and it's Schofield Avenue, Schofield. And then I brought it to Keith's attention, he goes, well, I didn't see that, I kind of look for that, I just do. And the next email that afternoon, it came back and he had switched it to Weston. So then when I called him, I said, were you just fooling with Keith and I? Were you just playing with us a little bit to see if we'd catch that? And he laughed, he says, I was so embarrassed when I caught it during the day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta change that if I'm gonna write this letter. But it was really, really funny, so. And that's another business owner I now know, and I can talk to. So some good things came out of it. All right, well, thank you, that's good stuff. Anything more for Nate? Work product transmittals, 31, September building permits.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Move to acknowledge items 21 through 23 and 25 through 29.
correct, Amundo.
Second.
Motion by White to acknowledge, second by Feeny. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you for taking care of that.
Move to acknowledge item 31.
Motion by Feeny,
Second.
second by Zong. Anything more on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Consent agenda
Move to approve items 33 and 34.
by White,
Second.
second by Feeny. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Ordinances, 36, ordinance number 21-032. An ordinance to amend sections 2.214, parent 4, parent B, standing committees, human resources.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Feeny,
Second.
second by Zagami. On the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolutions, number 37, resolution number 2021-027. A resolution to establish wards in accordance with section 5.15 of the Wisconsin statutes following the issuance of a federal decennial census. Never have I said that word before, decennial. Michael, what does it mean?
Every 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Did you know that answer?
I did not.
Okay, well, now we all know.
Although, Mark, it's decennial, not decennial.
I stand corrected. Stand corrected. Wow. It's all right, I can handle it. I put on a bodysuit of Teflon every
He
day.
who lives by the sword
Dies by the sword.
Slide right off.
And one day, one of you will get me with that, but today it's Mark.
Please take over. Please have some comments, Sherry, go ahead.
The resolution and the map that you have up on your screen is different from the one up on the screen here. Nate and I received a call late this afternoon from the county, and we had one of our wards crossing over two districts, and we can't do that.
Oh, no.
So they asked us to, they're gonna fix it on their end. They're gonna work their districts around our wards. So they asked us to remove our district information from the resolution and from the map. But they were fine with the way our wards are made up right now.
There's quite a bit of change here.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm noticing back where I live, that's quite a bit. It used to go, 7 used to go over an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit, now it's not.
I know the District 21 is increased considerably in area.
Oh, yeah.
I represented District 21.
Well,
Yeah, you did.
like I said, Nate helped me out, and we've got pretty much all the wards are pretty equal in population. Yeah, so.
Good job. So we'll get a new updated one, or? Or
This
you'll
is-
have one, I should say.
This is the new
Updated?
one. The one on your laptop screen is the incorrect one.
Okay.
So this is correct. The resolution in the packet is correct. It's not correct on your laptop.
Good. All right, it's your pleasure.
Motion to approve.
2021-027.
Thank you.
By Ermeling,
Second.
second by Feeny.
Had a couple-
Any more on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Unfinished business, 38, update on American Rescue Plan ARPA funds. Anything more, Jessica or Keith, or? No?
Haven't heard anything.
No?
Shattering.
Okay. We heard last week that we can use money for outfitting a squad car. Also heard some stuff at Safer to the same extent, correct? Did I not?
I haven't heard anything, no.
You were at the same meeting. Weren't we talking about that at Tuesday, Thursday? I didn't mean to call you out, but,
I don't remember that.
okay. Maybe I thought I heard it.
For equipment, for buying
Yeah, I
equipment.
thought for equipment, yeah. I mean, for outfitting, I thought Fred actually brought it up. So, okay. All right, nothing there, so, how about 39, exterior upgrades and possible additional upgrades to the public safety building, 39.
So we have received estimates for some additional items that probably were overlooked during the initial remodel of the public safety building. And then also had gotten the estimates on the architectural metal panels and improvements to the exterior. So CUNY gave us some detailed breakdown of what some of those square footages and cost estimates are. There's a summary of, the large, summary items, if you will, for architectural panels and repainting and outbuilding. And then when we look at other things that are, I guess, desired in the public safety area, some interior painting and upgrading of some of the finishes. I know the main office area in the public safety building really needs some attention, I think. The ceiling tiles they're kind of sagging down. And they've had some I think some roof leaks over time.
On both sides?
So forth.
Police and Safer?
In our office there.
Okay.
So there's a detailed breakdown of these at the last 2 pages right there, would be one of them. Because the bottom line is that in total, we're looking at around a range of costs between $682,000 and $745,000 in a more of a round number. I guess our thought was that we would include these in our capital plan update. And then see how they fit, see what other project we may need to kick down the road a bit. But I think these improvements in that interior portion of the building would be recommended, based on reading by the architect, talking to staff over there. We talked to Captain Nick, Captain Aldrich over there, and then the Chief Savage was with us that day, looking at some of the things that were recommended. There is some interior painting in the apparatus bay that's a larger ticket item that's recommended. We did not include painting in the upper area of the EMPD garage though. That would be a larger item as well. I guess if that's something we think we want to add in there, I can talk to you about that, Chief Schultz, but I needed some clarification on that before we got here today. I do know it's not in the estimate at this point.
You're both up to speed on this, Josh, especially you?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I don't know every last detail, like he said, the chief was there that day. I don't remember where I was, but I wasn't there.
Okay,
But I have the general gist of it, yes.
okay. Well, you too, I know you are.
I don't know, that number seems astronomical, but I don't know what's all really included as far as the police area remodel.
Well,
I'd have to kind of look at the breakdown. I apologize if it's not prior to the meeting.
I have a question.
Yes, Lauren?
How come we missed all this stuff when we went around it the first time?
Especially on the tiles, I mean, that's so visual,
Carpet.
stuff like that to see.
I mean, I
We
think the
started-
whole project was like $1.4 million, isn't it, somewhere around there? This is half again as much.
Oh, it was actually $1.8 million.
Was it?
Yep, and I just remember the discussion, it actually started about 8 or 9, but it was, 6 years ago, because he had some concerns on how did it get here? But there was a lot more in the project, and I just know there was some big discussion there. And I know the outside exterior, just alone, we all thought that was a good idea, about 200, but go ahead, Shane.
We spent $1.8 million for interior remodeling in there. And I don't understand how they missed all this. Now we going back to correct some of this stuff. I'm just confused because I thought everything was done inside. The only thing we have to work is outside of the.
Right. And so who's actually, go ahead, Clay first, then Mike.
I can kind of clarify. I think, in my opinion, going through this project, I think it moved fast. I think we looked at initially increased size in our evidence room, then we talked about a locker room. Then it kind of went into the indoor parking, and then a couple additional offices for the sergeants, at least on the police end. And it was all structural.
Yep.
From that part of the building, the whole front end was never touched. Our break room, the hallway, the front offices, the clerical, the lobby was. We're thankful, I guess, for what we received, and that was that. So we didn't look at any of the finishing portions of it. So there's that section that I think is covering that is since beer beverage, and some of that hasn't changed since we moved in. It hasn't changed too.
I could still find my way.
So we weren't complaining. We were happy we got what we got, but there's some stuff that's really old looking in there.
Well, it took a little push to get there anyway, just to get it started, because we've been kicking that can down for a couple of years. Michael, you had something to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when we started this whole process, a lot of it was, I think, Lauren, you might remember, at one point, there was a phase 3 of the public safety building that never got built, back in, was it 2004? So a lot of the focus at that time was kind of filling in still a lot of those big empty spaces that weren't being utilized. So, as Clay said, then we started looking at some of the other spaces, and I think once the finished product was there, we realized, we made these new spaces really nice, and we kind of skipped over the existing spaces that were in use, so,
So we actually added more square footage of usable space inside since it was a beer cooler.
Yes.
With height and pallet racking and all that. Okay.
Now it makes.
It's hard to, like a walkthrough and stuff, so is that primarily a little bit on us and then the architect too? just kind of, visioning the future versus existing, like Michael and Clay said?
Oh, I don't know if we clearly communicated the
Yeah.
scope that,
Okay.
that we wanted to address everything. I know the main thing was making, as Clay said, I guess we were kind of addressing some of these space needs and, moving, getting a good, heating garage for the squads and whatnot.
When are we gonna have a solid number? Is this a solid number now? Yep, go ahead.
Did ever architect come back and said, hey, well, with $1.8 million, we can't take out all the interior of this building, we're gonna do only this portion of it, or this portion of it, or did he even talk about it?
Well, again, I think what the focus was on getting the space configured for, better use overall. And some of these finishes, some of this detail didn't really get addressed, I guess. Then we were hearing things after things were being done, and, we want to do this, want to do that, I guess. So we went back to the staff over there, and the chiefs. And thought, okay, if we're gonna be addressing some of this stuff like the exterior, let's see what else there is. I guess some of this may be discretionary on our part, if we want to consider them or not. I guess right now, the items are up here as to what's included. If we want to go and take a look at them and with the architect again, we certainly can do that.
Well, this is gonna push a project down, move it out a little bit more than the CIP, right, you said?
Oh, that's what we have to
Capital?
look at,
Yeah.
yeah.
We did have the Ross Avenue intersection with Marathon County scheduled in the original CIP as a 2022 project. We're not moving forward with that one next year for construction, so I'm not gonna say it's an equal exchange, but I think that was about a $700,000 kind of move of monies or project that we're not expecting to do next year that we.
Are we not doing that because of the building at Municipal Center? All of this can be happening?
It has to do with the county's funding. They're so they're hoping to submit for some grant funds for that project instead of trying to borrow for it or kick one of their other projects down the lines.
Okay. Well, so go ahead, Dee.
So if we choose not to fund this, I choose not to proceed forward with this, the building will still be operational. It's not,
yes.
it will still be, because I'm hearing from the chief, and I'm not trying to quote you or put words in your mouth in a way here, but you said that you're happy with what you have there. Is there, I guess I'm trying to ask here, is this items that we necessarily need, because I'm just concerned with the amount of money that we're spending now. As we mentioned, it's 1.8, we spent 1.8 again already. And then from what I'm looking at, that's another $610,000
Well, I think originally we thought, 170 to 200 we were gonna do on exterior. So there's an additional 4 on top of this.
Yes.
Lauren?
I noticed there's two things in here that I have concern with Division 23 and 26. One is HVAC, which deals with air quality and moving, and also the electrical and the interior lighting. I think those are fairly important things, is the electrical HVAC. I would like to see it done, but I just can't see spending another $600,000. But I think there are some safety issues with the HVAC and the electrical. Perhaps the exterior painting, granted, it's only a Band-Aid approach.
And Mr. President, I just wanted to add, what I was trying to allude to is that I would like for staff to go back and review and prioritize.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
What was needed, and then we can go from there.
Versus maybe the architect or whoever went in there and just looked at everything. So maybe, both sides kind of go through, look at everything. Like Lauren said, if it's an HVAC or electrical or a lighting issue, that's probably a big thing.
Yeah.
And ceiling tiles, come on.
That's what we asked the architect to do,
Yeah.
get the laundry list, and we can prioritize it. I guess I know one of the comments about there's some under slab ducting, I understand it, that's got some issue in there that's probably got some kind of a, corrosion issue going on, and I think that has to be taken care of. I think that's in the PD area, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, yes.
It's a down floor furnace for the
Yeah.
I think you should bear in mind this old building. If we fix part of it, we gotta finish the project.
Yeah.
to keep the building in a good shape. Because what we don't do today is gonna come back and haunt us. We're gonna spend more money to fix it. The same thing with the outside exterior of this building hasn't been touched for a long time. So there is a need for that maintenance and upgrading it. So they can use the building for now and future. So I think we should take a look at the building. Maybe we should walk that area, which we didn't do anything to it at the last project, which honestly, my understanding was when they said interior, everything gonna be done. But maybe I should have asked more questions.
Well, I was under the same impression, and as much as fixing the things that we need to fix is absolutely necessary without question, I still hope that we can have some money on beautification. It's like that old joke, why did God make cops so that firefighters would have heroes? And I'm sure that with yeah. I'm sure with Deputy Chief Finke, roles are reversed a little bit. But our cops, firefighters, EMS, all of those deserve to have a great building. And the citizens of Weston deserve to be able to see that the village board puts pride in all aspects of the village.
Okay, so we're gonna push that down.
Mr. President, Barr has, trustee
I guess, I rode by past the police and fire station today, and other than, I guess, the east side, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but I don't think it looks that bad. Well,
It does need,
If it's gonna go paint, then you might as well contrast the colors.
yeah,
And signage, I think, is an issue too.
Yeah.
I think we gotta tell our story on how we have, two different agencies here that are multi-municipality.
You mentioned something about the signage. I think we should finally change the sign that says Weston Fire Department.
The green one?
Green one.
The green one should be gone completely, and then just have the ones on the building. Cause I just believe then you don't have to maintain them, you don't have to mow around them, you don't have to worry about something hitting them, but go ahead.
I believe trustees.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I believe trustees Agami mentioned it a while back that we were to paint, the painting would not last as long as the panels that would go in. And we're trying to think long-term here. So, but going back to what we were seeing here, I would be in favor of staff going back and reviewing, prioritizing what we need, obviously.
Is that
picture
doable?
is that.
Chief, Michael, or Chief, right? Okay. Scott, Roman,
I mean,
Sean, if it deals with some trees or something.
And if we get down to the bottom of what needs to be done, and there's this little bit down here that doesn't amount to much, I'd say then, go for it, but, but I gotta know what we're doing.
Okay. Well, so we're gonna push that back, so no action's needed.
Right.
So finally, we get to come to some gentlemen sitting in the back here. 40, unless you want us to skip and just keep going, right? Number 40, Class B beer and liquor license for Jmjb LLC Raz's Breakfast Bar and Grill, 5307 West Fair Street, Weston. Jason Mackey, agent. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the new Class B beer and liquor license for Jason Mackey, JMJB for Raz's Breakfast Bar and Grill at 5307 West Fair Street, Weston, Wisconsin.
Second.
Motion by White, second
I
by,
haven't finished. Gosh darn it.
Again, I stand corrected.
For the 2021 and 2022 licensing term contingent on the current owner surrendering the current Class B beer and liquor license back to the Village of Weston.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Yep. Any more on the discussion? So that was a motion by White, second by Zong. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you. There you are. If we would have had a crystal ball, okay? All right, but then you went and got your shot from Jim there, so.
That's true.
Yeah, see? 41. I'm sorry, can we continue or no? Okay. 41, change order number 1, I'm just teasing. For municipal facility project, electrical service entrance.
Move to acknowledge change order 1 for the municipal facility project
to construct the electrical service entrance as required by Wisconsin Public Service. Work to be done on a time and material basis not to exceed $26,762.34.
Motion by Feeny,
Second.
second by White. On the discussion.
That's out of the contingency, is it not? We don't have to add that.
That'll be a net against what was in their original estimate on this,
And I asked
original project, amount.
I asked Mr. Donner, my mind is always in security, is this outside entrance gonna be secured? Because, you know, how do you attack a building? You attack its heating, ventilation, and electrical. So I just wanted to make sure that was fairly well secured.
It'll be locked with a locking mechanism or locking device from public service. I don't know, Scott, you're probably
The,
familiar.
the main disconnect can have a padlock on it, to lock the device on, plus it'll be inside of the fenced-in area.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So,
that makes me feel a little better.
Okay.
makes you look a little bit better.
I have a question also. In the theme of tonight, I mean, everything that's happening at this building would happen privately too. But anybody else putting up a building, anybody having a change order, I just wanna make sure we say this out loud and we're transparent. We're not getting any extras. We don't get to kind of slide around stuff because it's ours. Or I should say it's the taxpayers. But we're doing everything anyone else would have to do if they wanted this.
I'm told the same issue is being contended with by the Aspires YMCA project downtown. I think this comes up, it sounds like this comes up frequently in public service.
I'm surprised that architects don't know this.
So I was wondering, considering that Patriot Auto came in and have to change their plans because they're moving some bushes around. Do we get a new, how do we document this and do we get a update on the plans then? Is that what we're requiring of our architect?
Good question. As far as I know, it's part of the electrical function of the building.
So.
I'm just saying that we require it for
Okay,
bushes.
so yes, we'll need to bring a plan change to our planning and development department.
Okay, so then, I'd like to, and maybe trustee White, you can tell me if this is redundant or not needed. But then I'd like my motion to be amended, to read upon approval by the plan commission, or is that unneeded?
No.
It didn't go
That's not what he
to
said.
planning commission.
Okay,
That's not what he said. So
then
this,
I misheard my apologies.
this is not a conditional use site. No, so it's for what we're doing, so then that's the path we follow. And I just thought the question should be asked.
Okay, then disregard.
Okay? So we have a motion by
Me.
Feeny, second by White. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 42, environmental insurance cost recovery agreement with Eisenstein Malinchuk LLP. Anybody want to correct me on those pronunciations?
Sounds pretty good.
Close.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay? What's your pleasure?
Only thing I can add to it, Mr. Donner, the date, he said anything before, what was it, 1975?
They focus on a time period between 1965 and 1960 and 1985, I think.
Okay, and 1985, I don't think at that time we didn't go to construction yet for the landfill.
Closing.
Right, but we had the landfill operation active at that time, right? So so what this company says is that our general liability policies would have had some coverage for this type of thing, and so then they say there's some value that can be recouped. So I know we
Thank
found
you,
we did find a couple of references to some claims, and it did come through Lobb and Horton. But who the insurer was, I don't know. I guess that's what these guys would find out, and they'll do it without, I mean, otherwise we're gonna spend many hours trying to find it ourselves.
So,
Right, but the thing is, we closed that landfill with no cost to the town. There was no cost involved.
Right.
As I said, you know.
What was monitoring?
There might be value there that we can.
Right, but you know what? We collect $3 million for tipping fee. We spent $2 million on construction, and the other $1 million went to general fund. But you're right, we pay for monitoring and maintenance of the facility.
So, we found out about this place, this Eisenstein Malachuk Bauhaus.
Well, they said that they noted in our 2018 consolidated financial report,
See, Capper.
CAFR, that we have a landfill, closed landfill. So, of course, I mean, that gives them a kind of, okay, and then they found some other information about it from the DNR, I believe. So, you know, they're out there prospecting, I guess, they're trying to find out.
And we talked about that, so it's no cost to us. They grab a certain fee off of the recovery, absolutely no cost to us. It's like, you know, like 20-30% of the attorneys out there are ambulance chase and nothing up front. And we get our fee first, but then the rest, you know, goes to the courts and you.
How much staff time is estimated?
Well, that's a good question.
They are the ones that'll do the research.
That's what I thought.
That's what they've said.
But we're gonna have to process the records though, right?
What records?
No, I'm just saying they're gonna have to have access to.
Yeah, we'll plug them to our town board meeting minutes, and they're gonna look through all those and look for clues.
So they can go electronically and they won't have to ask.
Manual, they'll be doing manual search of it. We'll find, I guess if we find
Not all of it
the
is,
town board minute books, I know, well, they'll look through it. They're gonna send somebody here on site.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I hate to find out that Valerie and they're spending
So much time.
X amount of time hoping that, you know, they find something, you know, gathering all the records and spending time and energy with them. That's my only concern or question.
Yeah, there was a public hearing here.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a public hearing.
All right, Lauren?
I have a question. If we take this on, does our current insurance carrier need to know about this? Because I don't know if they would become involved.
they already know.
Contact them, right?
They already know, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You didn't-
So, yeah, we'll maintain coverage for environmental liability.
Right, I understand.
We're trying to find value in the old policies, and I guess he's saying, the new policies are written differently.
You know, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, which I do often. Have they given you some idea of the average recovery, or are they not saying? You know, like you see on TV, all these advertisements, they got me $500,000.
No, I don't think they can tell you that. That's what they evaluate. They'll tell us if they think it's worth going after.
What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the fee agreement authorizing Eisenstein Malinchuk LLP to investigate and pursue recovery of monies from village or town liability insurance policies.
Motion by Feeny,
I'll second it.
second by Zong. On the discussion.
I'm just worried about the staff, how involved they're gonna get in this.
Is there anybody on the Zoom meeting, Michael?
Yes.
Is Richard Siegel on?
Yes, I am, and I can address that.
Okay.
We do not expect you folks to be doing what we would call the heavy lifting. We just want you to tell us what records you have, where they are, and make them accessible to us, and we do the work. So you just need to find us a little place to work where those documents are available or can be made available to us, and that's it. We don't expect you to be going through the information. We know what clues to look for, and we feel that that's probably the best way to handle it.
Okay, thank you. Lauren?
A question, since we have remnants of the town of Weston, would they be involved in it also? Because it's a remnant town and it was a.
So would they be a portion of the recovery would be for them?
Yeah.
I would suspect so. you
Yeah,
know.
which is okay.
Richard, can you address that? I guess we didn't really talk about that, you know, we had a incorporation and these policies, the time period you're looking for was at a time when was prior to incorporation, we we're still a town. And there's a remnant town left yet, which is small population
Okay.
relative to what we have.
Well, we'd have to go back and look at all of the records to see, you know, what insurance is there, what's relevant, whether it applied with the town or what you are now as the village. And if there's, I don't want to say this, I know my colleague, John Malinchek, is also on the phone. If there's ownership of the policies by the town, you might be obligated, if you will, to get them to release those policies to you to give them a percentage of what you recover. But we don't know that until we take a look at the information.
It's entirely up to you. We don't have a dog in the fight.
And that would be fine. I mean, why not? If they're owed a portion, that's fine.
Right, but you should recover our expenses.
Yep, the expenses, sure, but they'll have expenses too.
Staff,
Yeah,
of our staff is what I'm
but
saying.
they might have the same with their records too. Okay, we'll have to just work that out. All the towns are here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just gonna
It costs us
say,
nothing to try.
yeah, okay. Any more on the discussion? Did you, no, that was your question?
I had my question answered.
Yeah, I'm good, I'm good.
But they're gonna have to approve the release of that information.
Right. Milt?
Okay, I think in our incorporation agreement, wasn't there a clause in there about how certain documents that would have been borne the name of the town were transferred or transferability to the village, so I would think we'd go back to that agreement and see how that works.
Hands up.
We talked
Okay.
about that.
Okay. All right, motion and second by Feeny and Zong. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 43, memorandum of understanding with Weston Ridge Condominium Association for terms of an easement for the Eau Claire River Trail parking lot.
This was heard by Public Works last week, and I guess it dates back almost 20 years. Not quite, and so, again, we're, to kind of summarize, the village is occupying property that's on the Weston Ridge condominium plat, and also using part of their road to access that area. We use that parking lot and access to our lift station down there. I think there was probably an assumption made by staff that we had rights to be there. Turns out that we really don't have anything that gives us the right to be there. So in meeting with the condominium association representatives, they initially approached me because they just wanted us to take over their streets, and then it was, well, by the way, we have this encroachment, if you will. And I guess the proposal recommendation that has been brought forward here is that we negotiate an easement with them to occupy that area, and we would in turn remove snow, do winter maintenance in that part of those private streets. We've done something similar in the past over at the Scout Center, but that agreement has since gone away since we were gonna develop a well there. And that site didn't pan out in the end, so.
how much road are we talking about?
Hand back out, Nate.
500 feet or so.
Michael, you got this? Who's got this?
Nate has this.
Nate, could you just pan out a little bit?
I can't-
There you go. Is that the right word, pan?
Do we plow any of this area
No.
now?
No, Nate, go up to the previous page.
Yeah, I just wanna see the roads that we could possibly be plowing. Okay,
So if you zoom in on that one that your mouse is on. So we plow and we turn around, right where the hand is, right there.
Yep.
So we plow Ryan Street, the road kind of turns, we turn around there. The ask is for us, if you continue straight on that road, where the road says private.
Yep.
That's kind of where their condo development ends and the Swiderski portion of it starts.
oh, so not the whole thing? Just that one portion?
Private.
Correct, yeah.
Just that one, what about the one down on the pass, or I can't read that?
Yeah, so Swiderski owns all those other streets except
Okay.
for that, I think it's
River Trail Drive?
Yeah, I know there's duplexes that stayed under condo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where does it end, where River Trail Drive private is in black? Does it end there?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the boundary with the Swiderski property.
Right there.
And the condo
Okay,
development.
right.
Where do you put the snow?
I guess they requested the snow kind of could be placed just up and left of the hand, right in that areas where they currently have their contractor place snow.
Okay,
So we could do the same thing.
because I'm going, wait a minute, now you're going into the Swiderski area.
And all we would get is an easement, not ownership?
If you went for ownership, there'd be some value we'd need to,
$2 and some cents per square foot or something like that?
I'm sorry?
Saw in your report, it was like $2 and some cents a square foot.
230 a square foot is what our assessor
Pretty
estimated,
excessive.
so it's about, it would be for that area somewhere in the range of $25,000 to $30,000 maybe.
So, but plowing that, there's value to that. And then, so there are the same private contractor coming in and doing that whole thing? And, the one portion gets,
their own as
so
well.
it's two
I
different,
was told,
so
yes.
we're doing Ryan, and then there's two private companies that come in and do that.
Right,
And somehow they agree to stop at that boundary line.
well, we also clear out to get into that parking lot, so we get to our lift station,
Yeah,
so we're
right.
doing that little piece
Right, that's what I
right
mean.
now.
We'll take care of that intersection.
And this would be a 10-year, 20-year, what?
It'd be,
As long as.
Indefinite.
as long as the lift station,
Better be perpetual.
Yeah, it's perpetual.
It is.
Okay,
Mountain Bay Trail,
well, I would ask the question then, what are they paying for that service every year? Because you're gonna hit that $30,000 number pretty quick, as far as I'm concerned. You bring in some equipment to plow that? Would you, I mean, at any snow, at what, 1 inch, 1.5 inches?
But Michael, why don't you just point how much of that road we're gonna be plowing?
Yeah, right there,
All, that's up to that, around that curve.
right there.
That section. I mean, like I said, we have a piece of equipment that comes down here and plows already, so.
I know that, but they're saving another contractor to come.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna ask 30 grand, why can't we throw what they're paying now? And if it's perpetual,
I don't think you, I was out on the League of Municipalities website,
Yeah.
and there's a question, I sent that to you. I think it was powers of municipalities.
that's why I'm
frequently
trying to get the
asked question,
ownership. Yeah.
Number 12,
Mhm.
they have 3 specific things that are required, and the Attorney General for the state also gave an opinion on this, that you aren't supposed to do it unless such work is necessary to provide ingress and egress to a public highway for the private property, or the contract that sets forth a fee schedule for the work to be performed and requirements prepayment of the fee, and there is no private person in the municipality willing to or capable of performing such work. I'm sure that Matt took a look at it,
yes.
and I hope that he has his insurance, because if if we were doing this, it seems to be in violation of what the frequently asked questions are at the League of Municipalities.
I mean, about taking over a private,
Correct.
Without ownership, without.
And for doing it,
Yeah.
for doing it for a private individual, that's
yeah,
That's one of the reasons we don't plow in our mobile home courts.
exactly.
right.
And I think we're biting something off that we're not able to do.
What is,
More concerned.
what's the width of that
The
road?
plow
It's
driveways.
30 feet. The asphalt is 30 feet wide.
So it's pretty typical.
It's the same width as a regular street.
And it's not like we would put all the snow there, we would drift it off until the end and then put that last dump or the last curve in there.
Yeah.
Matt was more concerned about, because they wanted us initially to do, chip seal and other types of maintenance on that road.
Well, that was my next thing. I mean, if we start plowing it, are we then taking ownership?
And what about damages that are now done?
Yeah.
Where,
Is that curb and gutter?
I think we gotta look at
It's a
something.
mountable curve.
Notable curb? Okay. What's your pleasure?
I'd rather go buy that land than plow the thing.
Although it's more expensive, I think it's a cleaner way of dealing with the issue.
Right. I just think we're opening up, I was sitting there and thinking, well, what about potholes? What about, I mean, and this is a private, it's condo. I mean, that whole area originally was condo. And then it never went anywhere, but they had built those duplexes. And they wanted to stay as condo.
Well, I mean, and then it sat, and then I think Kevin Swiderski came in and finished it.
Yeah.
I mean, have we ever considered, you know, a different situation with those streets or no?
As far as taking them over completely,
What'd we do right next door to that one? Did we not take those over?
and Fieldcrest?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, and we just did it, or was there something to do
No,
that? I was here when we did that, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
We reviewed the construction of the
So
streets.
those were narrow.
Yeah, they're narrow, and then there was also some issue with the street lighting.
Mhm.
That was privately owned, and we were not willing to take
So
that.
those are not condos no more, correct?
Correct. They converted,
But
so,
it must be an association because we still don't pay for the streetlights, don't we?
right, we don't, because they couldn't,
Or the
Irrigation.
irrigation,
Well, the streetlights was because there was more than average.
they're more than.
And so they had to
average.
pay for that extra lighting.
And actually, they were, I don't know, something about timed or.
Yeah.
so can I,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I guess, the association's preference is to have the easement. But, and as Steve pointed out, that, and Matt did say that, yes, taking over the maintenance, you don't wanna be doing, particularly the summer maintenance. Matt seemed to think that doing the plowing in the winter would be more acceptable. Now, if you wish to make it a motion that we try to acquire this, I would also like you to then, to direct us first to develop an MOU that we can continue to use that. I don't think this is, we're not going to this in an adversarial sense with this condo association because of the situation. We do need to use that area for staging for the construction coming up here for crossing the Oakland River. So I guess that I would, if you're gonna make a motion relative to us purchasing it, unless we have a temporary easement or a workout purchase, I guess there's different ways I suppose we could do it, but
Who owns the land to the east?
to the east,
All that,
into the west.
I'm sorry, west.
Used to be River Valley, but I think they sold it.
There's a private owner there, but it's very low.
I was gonna say, that's swamp, isn't it?
But there's-
Oh, is it? Okay.
Mr. President, I just have a quick question for clarification here. From me looking here, it says that it's $2.50 if we were gonna purchase it per square foot. Is that correct there?
That's estimated.
It's an estimate from the assessor.
So if the total, how much would it be total if we were to, do we have any idea at all?
I said around, I'm estimating between $20,000 and $30,000. We probably need to get an appraisal. We go through the whole process of determining the value, the fair market value.
Yeah, I agree with President Maloney that $20,000 to $30,000 is not gonna go, by plowing that year after year, it's gonna cost us way more. I would be more in favor of looking to purchasing that, and I will make that motion to direct staff to begin looking towards purchasing that easement with the and also directing staff to work out a MOU or conditional use with the
Temporary easement.
temporary use, that's what I was looking for, with the current owner.
Motion by Zong, second by Feeny. Any
Question.
more on the question? Go ahead.
Steve, you need the construction easement, don't you?
Is that gonna be enough room for construction for?
Well, I'm not sure we know how much area the contractor plans to use down there, because they would then go down the Mountain Bay Trail, I'm sure,
Can you,
or the Oakland River Trail.
what's the end of Ryan, to the north? Is there
It goes dead end.
It's on that.
just dead end?
Close to the
Yeah,
river.
the river is right there.
Yeah, so it goes nowhere, just a cul-de-sac?
Right.
I mean,
Oh, the street itself just turns into that condo development.
at that wedge though, right where that pump is, right?
Yeah,
So we've got, how much remaining street is sitting there?
No, there's no extra street. Once you turn in by the lift station there, there's no road. The road,
Oh,
as you see,
well, on that last one, it looked like there was a road that,
yeah, it's right of way.
okay, gotcha. Oh, heavens,
It's the walking trail that leads to the old Bear River Trail,
okay.
essentially.
Yeah.
And there's this,
That last photograph just made it look like the road continued.
You're running into the river.
Yeah.
I see it. This looks
right
totally
on
different.
this station is right there too.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah,
Wow,
I think the pipe gonna go straight through.
Yep.
So we may still need some construction easement there.
well, you might have to eliminate some trees and stuff. Okay, so we have a motion by Zong and a second by Feeny. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 44, Convention and Visitors Bureau contract. What's your pleasure?
To approve.
Motion to approve by Hushain. Oh, I'm sorry.
Version 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, what tourism approved, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Second by,
I'll second.
Second by Ermeling? version 2?
Yeah.
Version 2.
We caught that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anything else on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Abstain.
Okay. Good job on that, by the way. So 45, water meter pit upgrade design contract. What's your pleasure?
Can we discuss it?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Can you talk to me
Yeah.
about?
I do not agree with the contract
Mhm.
because they have a limitation on their liability to $250,000.
Okay.
But they give a certificate of insurance for $5 million.
Hmm.
So I want to recommend this contract unless they remove the limitation of liability, because that liability should be equal to the certificate of insurance.
Makes sense.
I don't know how much those people, somebody gonna sue us or
Failure.
sue somebody on the project,
Okay.
for how much? So, well, we can't agree to this contract. Michael,
Sure.
I think you should just send it back. If they want to do business in the village, we don't accept this kind of a limitation at all.
Sure. Okay.
Do they have that on any of the other contracts as you've seen, Hushain?
No, they were written a different way. There was no limitation in there, but it's still the liability was equal to the fee. What they had, their fees $48,000, so the liability is equal to $48,000. Forget it. I don't know.
Yeah. Good job.
Good.
So,
Yep, good catch. All right, so 45 is, we're gonna send that back. Yes?
I believe so.
We still need a motion though, right?
Move to defer
By White,
the next meeting?
by White. Second by Feeney. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried to defer. The next meeting, 46, 2020 to 2024 CIP amendment for Weston Avenue, Alderson to Birch, and Ross Avenue, Riverbend to Pauls for LRIP grant eligibility. Discuss, or what's your pleasure?
I'll move to approve the 2020-2024 CIP amendment to include the reconstruction of Weston Avenue from Alderson Street to Birch Street as a 2024 construction year project, and recommend the cost revision of the 2023 Ross Avenue Riverbend to Paul's project.
Ready? Motion by White, second by Feeney. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 47, Crestwood Acres change order number 3.
Mr. President, I will remove myself for conflict of interest.
Okay. So removed. So Crestwood Acres change order number 3, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve change order 3 as presented to extend the substantial completion date to November 12th, 2021, and set the final completion date as June 17th, 2022.
I'll second.
I second that, but I have a question.
He grabbed it.
okay.
Motion by White, second by Minell. Question?
Question. The amount of the time they're asking, is that reasonable or is just way overdue? I don't,
Michael is,
Michael?
I mean, they had asked for 45 days.
Yeah, that's a lot of a time.
Yeah, so the change order is only for 20 days. And realistically, I don't think they'll even need that.
Right.
But
The motion I made shortened the extension.
Okay, we don't want to pay any extra on this change order. When the time increase, the cost increase. Therefore, we approve the change order subject, no increase in the cost of construction.
yeah, this is a time-only extension. There's no change in the contract price.
Just a quick question here.
Question?
They're not gonna come back and say that 20 days is enough right afterwards.
No, substantial completion as defined in the contract here is all the underground piping is done, the concrete work is done, and the street is paved.
Under
As-
layers, both layers?
Both layers.
Okay,
So as of today, all the water main, sewer main, and laterals are done. The storm sewer has 300 feet left. That should be done by Wednesday. And they have the road rebuilt about halfway up Randy J already. So they're anticipating to have concrete down by early next week. And as soon as the concrete is cured, American Asphalt will be in to pave Randy J and the remainder of Douglas with the first layer. They'll pave the second layer on the rest of the roads and then pave.
and Barbican, they're gonna do a second
Yeah, Barbican will,
altogether.
yeah, well, Barbican will probably get paved
Oh.
prior to this, just, and it'll be ready sooner.
In your Wednesday notes, you just had the second layers all at one time.
Yes, it's for this project.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was Barbican too. All right.
Better hope for good weather for.
Yeah, so realistically, they shouldn't need all 20 days, but I think.
We'll be
just
mowing
based
our
on
lawns
weather-
for Christmas.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. How's that? Okay on the question?
And the other part was the AECom contract that we extended earlier this fall. We anticipated that they'd need 2 inspectors out on site at times. They haven't utilized a second inspector. They had a guy out for material testing for some of the asphalt, and that went down. But other than that, it's just been the one inspector out there. So
Okay.
we haven't come close to reaching the max on that one, so.
Okay. We have a motion by White, second by Manel. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried with Feeny abstaining. Okay. 48, request to authorize planning and development staff to proceed with non-summary abatement per section 50.102 13.c against the property at 1706 Newport Avenue. Excuse me.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Shane,
Second,
second by Nate. Anything else more on the discussion?
just a question.
Yep.
Has the neighbors paid their citation, or do we know that they respond, have they paid their citations and all? Let's go with that.
Yep, so, I'm sorry, okay,
I was here a few months back
okay.
on this.
Podium.
You want to just come up to the podium and just state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
My name is Kelly Amsrud. I live at 5702 Pine Park Street. I can see 1706 Newport Street right up my back windows and lovely patio doors.
Okay.
I had brought that we needed to take care of cleaning this up. It is I can't even explain how horrible this is to look at every day.
Okay.
When I read through all of this pieces, I had a couple of questions. One, there was a piece in there that they couldn't do anything about inside of the garage because they don't have a child living there. My son just went through the Metro Apartments fire. The damage that was done to those buildings that were in close proximity is amazing. It's just like, wow. My thesis is it would take one match and that whole house would be gone. Because when the garage door is open, it is full to the top. There's nowhere to go. I mean, it's just, and both houses on both sides of that, I'm sorry they're not here to represent, but I will, be very, very close and be so much in danger. So I don't know if you can address the garage issue or not. I don't know what's inside that house and nor do I want to.
Okay.
Going back, so no, I have no questions for, I just go back to my question.
Thank you.
I'm just curious as to, whether they've attempted, I know that there was in the RFC here, it says that they were complying with this in the beginning, but I'm just curious, are they filling their side of the, side?
Scott?
This actually goes back many years.
Yeah.
Renee Hodel dealt with this property. Last year I was there with Officer Worsmanowski, and she had gotten it cleaned up somewhat. I've been there several times, had 3 citations issued to them. Each time the citation is issued, it seems like it gets worse instead of better. I've talked to the owner and her daughter, and the owner says she has an issue with hoarding. So really, the only thing we can do is take care of the property outside where it's in a public nuisance. So, yes, she has a problem and she knows she has a problem. And I told her that she needed to get some help, but we can't, we can't make her get help. All we can do is the non-summary abatement and clean up. It's spread out in the backyard, it's all over the front yard, almost to the street now. So, like I said, it's been an ongoing thing. She has been issued those 3 citations.
So just to.
I have lived there 12 years and it's been like this since the day I moved into my house.
Just following up my question, so has she paid for citations at all?
No.
I don't know if she's even gone to court yet.
Yeah.
Said it never went to court?
Never went to court yet. I'm sorry, Jen, what?
They take quite a bit to go through court.
Okay.
And we've been past this property. The only way we can clean it up is to take it to circuit court. And that's gonna be a long process too, but this definitely needs it. So we'd like to start it.
Well, the reason why I'm going is I just wanna, I am not a very big fan of going through court unless it's necessarily have to, so that's why I was bringing up those to make sure, to see if there was any signs of them attempting to want to comply at all, but from what I'm hearing here, it doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem so.
So it drips everywhere. I mean, lawn care, everything.
Like when I drove by the other day, the entire yard is full, like
It's horrendous.
both sides.
Okay.
And there was a truck it was a Saturday, there was a truck in the driveway the pickup was full of stuff.
Okay.
She's got toys, she's got
Yeah.
all
Okay.
kinds of things.
I can say at least, I know 10 years ago was similar issue because we did construction on that road and we had to go to her house or his house and ask him to do certain things or move certain things. And so it's nothing new really.
Okay. So we have a motion. I'm sorry, Barb?
Yeah, I guess I agree that it needs to be done, but I do have some concern. I know of 2 times in the kind of the history that we've done this. And you have to be careful because if something of value is, taken, that there is some, I
Yeah,
know the one on Ross and the one on Camp Phillips, they found some, on Camp Phillips, they found where they were hoarding money. So I mean, this is an issue that you gotta be a little concerned with.
Yeah, the last time we had to do this, basically we hired Jaegers to come in and they have to hold the property on their site for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
There's a whole process that has to be followed, but we've been through this before.
Yeah, the horror stories of that.
Is that what I'm just looking at CCAP right now, there's a judgment against them for $2,800 that is outstanding also? Is that from a previous action?
It could be fines. I mean, Renee spent a lot of time in there.
Against the property.
Against the owners from 2013.
I wasn't doing something private, so someone listening just text me the Google map. Well, here we are. It just said you can see this they have the address identified and it says you can see this from space.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be,
There's some
I don't mean to be smart.
structural issues with the
This is
house
what we're seeing, yeah.
that we're probably gonna have to address also. Roman brought it to our attention. I mean, they've had a broken glass. The front window was broken and basically taped up.
Yeah, we'll probably have to go raise a repair order on this.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
My question, Director Higgins, is, let's say for sake of argument, we go through the non-summary abatement process. Jaegers comes in, cleans it up, and a year from now, we're in the same place. What happens then?
We either start the process over, sometimes the judge will actually put something on there that if they violate it again within a certain period of time, the village can go back on the property to clean it up. We had that issue with Palms Cafe back in the day.
Yep.
What's, so just thinking, because right now there doesn't seem to be any pattern whatsoever. If this comes back year after year after year, do we have like some sort of end? Some sort of end resolution, or do we just go and continue to treat or continue to clean it up every year?
We just continue the way that the chronic nuisance ordinance is currently written.
Okay.
We as staff can never get to the point where we would be able to go through that process. That's probably something that needs to be looked at.
Okay, can I ask another question following up on that? So if we do go in there and clean it, do we bill that individual?
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically, when we go through this process, the judge would rule in our favor to allow us to clean it up, and then they take on all the costs, including the court costs typically, so.
But we didn't collect it the last time.
Yeah, what I'm also alluding to is the fact is I was concerned that even if we did this, do they even have the capacity or the ability to pay us for it, you know?
It gets paid when it's sold.
Well, I guess that's true too.
It appears that there's other people garnishing. I'm just looking at CCAP, but it appears that there's other garnishments out there, but there's also $800 some judgment that goes back to 2009 to the village. So it doesn't appear that we've collected on any of those expenses. But I would hope that Matt Eady, as he begins this process, or for the village, that he has steps in down there, not only to solve this immediate need, but to make sure that we get repaid.
I definitely agree.
A wage assignment or something to that effect, or whatever.
It's gonna cost us money.
Right.
As well too.
Okay. Well, we missed our opportunity at 8:00, so
Yeah.
what's our pleasure at 48?
What's that 85?
We set a goal for 8:00.
I believe it was moved and seconded.
Yeah, we have a move, can you just refresh our memory?
Zagami, Feeny.
Zagami and Feeny. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 49, concession stand lease.
I move to approve a 3-year lease with Steve and Janessa Cronin.
Is it just Janessa Cronin?
Steve
Or
and
is it
Janessa.
Steve?
Yeah, Steve and
But
Janessa.
it's Weston Aquatic Sacks, but it's Steve and Janessa.
It is.
Through the agreements through, yes.
Okay.
So I'll continue with what I was saying. I move to approve a 3-year lease with Steve and Janessa Cronin for the concession stand at the aquatic center.
Second, motion by Zong, second by Zagami.
Can we amend it
It's not
to just
in there.
include their related or related entity? I thought that they had it under corporate.
Sure, to include Weston Aquatic Center, the concession stand?
Or
Is that-
Weston Snacks, whatever it's called.
The contract has their names on it.
Okay.
Signed both by Steve and
Thank you.
Janessa, and the agreement's made.
Thank you.
For
Thank
the
you.
Cronin as the leasee.
So they don't use their LLC.
They didn't use their LLC for the previous agreement. No,
No, there's no LLC here.
no.
Nate, is Steve on the call? Is he saying anything? Does he have his hand up?
Not.
Steve, you want to add anything?
I think if you just say or related entity.
What's that?
If he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Sure, or I would be fine with that friendly amendment.
Go ahead, Steve.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
in the past, we didn't have an LLC set up for this. It's something that we were gonna work on this off season. So if that's something you would like to do, I can get that worked out with my account and what I need to do on my end.
No, not at all. We just thought, somebody thought you wanted that. I thought you were switching it, in your wife's name. So it's fine the way it is. We're fine.
Okay, if you're good with it, I'm good with it.
All right,
Okay.
there you go.
So then I will leave it with Steve and Janessa.
Yep, so, motion by Zong, second by Zagami. No more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 50, discussion on possible cost sharing opportunities with neighboring municipalities.
What are we done?
Is Mr. Peterson came back to share with us? I thought they
I believe
backed
so.
up for Weston Avenue construction.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
We were gonna do cost sharing Weston Avenue between,
Yes. That's, we have an agreement on that.
I thought it was backing up.
Design, no.
But they gotta figure it
I
out.
cleared up the topic. It's,
Yeah.
an unrelated issue that doesn't need to be, part of that
Okay.
agreement and
Okay, so
there's other needs down at the Cary facility. We need us to abandon that water tower at some point anyway.
So 50 is what?
This,
Is that mine?
no, well, maybe it's yours.
I think this is more of a generic or general topic, isn't it? Among cost sharing agreements?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the previous meeting, there was a lot of discussion about ways that we can, or at least for me, there was a desire to look at potential areas where the municipalities in this metro area, Weston, Rothschild, Schofield, and Croninwood, duplicate resources. We have, for example, we've got Rothschild PD, we've got Everest Metro PD, we've got Croninwood PD, we've got Safer Fire, we've got Riverside Fire. Everyone has, or nearly everyone has their own building inspectors and public works departments. It seems like there's a lot of duplication of resources, and with the levy limits or the state breaking our backs and cutting us up at the knees with the levy restrictions, something's got to give. And I don't think we can solve all of our problems, but we can buy time and hope that something gets done in the future. So one thing or two things I think would really help. Number one is combining Rothschild PD and Everest Metro PD. And another would be to combine Safer and Riverside. And I don't know the ins and outs of, or I don't have as good a feel for other departments like Public Works or other general government, but there has to be something. So what can we do to approach our neighboring municipalities as partners to come together for this shared existential crisis?
Okay.
Lauren?
My experience in municipal government, we had Southern Municipalities Group, I don't know if you recall that or not, Mr. Don, where we looked at some of the public works, especially the snowplows, trucks, operators. And that went on for a couple of years and tried to work out an agreement. I know there was a preliminary agreement. List of equipment were sent, that in fact was when Dean Zuliger was here, as I recall. We've also put out feelers for a combination with Croninwood and Everest Metro PD Municipal Court. That went quite extensively until that was turned down. All initiatives started by the village, and essentially they were rebuffed, either too expensive or like a lot of problems that we have, control issues. It's okay as long as I'm in control. Those kind of issues. I am not objecting to it, trying it again, but sometimes it's a generational thing. Some of us old geezers have to pass on before the things get moved.
Well, it might be just department heads, because I think in the last couple of years, I think department heads are talking to more municipal counterparts. I know Keith is, having, some luncheons and stuff like that with several other administrators. And we just, sometimes you can break a lot of things down when just the two, the fire departments talk or
Yeah.
And I know Clay has great relationships and I know over the last couple of years, Josh is having more and more better relationships. I don't hear, 3 or 4 years ago where sometimes we weren't even asking, so I think I think everybody's in the same boat. And yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I personally think that in order for this to be successful, we kind of need to take out the elected officials from this process, as you mentioned, and having the administrators or the kind of those individuals.
That's how
have them-
SAFER was formed, by the way.
Correct, and having them have the actual discussion first, and if they feel that is an actual good recommendation, they can bring it back and then we can begin that discussions. Because I feel if we were to have the elected officials begin this discussion here, we get into that whole issue of control, et cetera, as well too. So that's my recommendation moving forward. I mean, I discussed this, about the, in the past about Rothschild, attempting, with the merge between EMPD and Everest Metro, Everest Metro and Rothschild. And there was a lot of discussions as well with the people that I talked to said that the reason why I fell was because of, because elected officials got involved in one too, so it caused that complication. So I would recommend, obviously, just directing, giving it to Administrator Donna to have that discussions with that administrator group and just running it by them and allowing them to have that discussion, not really as an official action, but more of just a reference. Right.
Or even Everest Metro, the chief, he deals with like Rasta. To me, the frontline people can do better than the politicians. It gets too tacky.
They're in control of what they do and
Right.
individually, we're not, we're nobody unless we're collectively together. The only time we can do any kind of procedures, any kind of policy is if this board is together. Individually, we can't. I don't care what you think. You're not somebody superior unless you're on this board. That's the way it is. So, okay.
And even though, Trustee White, we've been rebuffed in the past, I think we gotta try again. And, I talked with, Trustee McEwen from Rothschild earlier today, and he said that there hasn't been any, additional or any action or discussion taken about considering, a merger between Rothschild and Everest Metro. I'm disappointed in that, but
It's because Jeremy is not being talked to. It's because just what you just said, the politicians can't be talking. And the more that happens, the more wedge gets put in place. And we're talking about Jeremy Hunt's department, and he's not being talked to. I'm not saying by McEwen, I'm saying by us or whoever's, leading that charge.
Right.
And it has no merit if that's how we do it. And it's, the only way it's gonna ever be successful is if Clay or, the captains get together, whatever, and start having some discussions. That's the only way it's gonna happen. Or collectively, if the whole board talks to their whole board.
I guess the question for Keith, for Administrator Donner, is this something that you would be interested in bringing up with the other administrators and just having a discussion about it, I would say?
Sure, I think what probably needs to happen is there needs to be an opportunity, and we need to probably be talking about it before something happens that, maybe in a time we could take advantage of something. I don't know that it happens by us, just going out there and forcing it. I think there's sometimes we maybe think there's gonna be savings by, like, okay, we're gonna make one big giant organization, but I think where you're gonna save the cost is maybe more at the top level of of an organization where you're duplicating directors or administrators or positions like that.
It would have to be done for the security of all the individuals through attrition. And as jobs would, as they would retire is when you start seeing those savings. You may not see them right away, but then you start working together. And now you can start saving on equipment or copiers, computers, what have you. And, but I'll tell you, that takes a lot of work, an awful lot of work.
Another thing I would say is that we also need to make sure that if we do end up combining services, that quality increase, it gets better, not worse
True.
as well too. So I think those are all discussions that I would entrust the administrator to have with them. Obviously, I know that we're struggling with our budget challenges as
Right.
well too, and our quality of services, and whether we want to maintain the same type of quality of services there. So just having that discussion, I think would be great.
And, you know, it might be something that you might want to invite Mark Payne. You know, I think he likes being involved and likes to help.
I mean, he was a very influential in the combining departments as well too. I mean, they at one time had a same human resource department with the city
Right.
council as well too. I think he helped with the parks departments too. So those would be good discussions as well.
And
Okay.
the only other thing that I can think of is a public safety referendum, and we've talked about that a little bit earlier. If especially since 50% of our budget goes to public safety, and I would make the argument we still don't have enough officers and firefighters, EMS, and that's through no fault of our departments. That's just the way it is. So, okay, and I'll just stop there.
Okay. Any more? More to add? All right. 51, appointment of Ryan Simmons to the Everest Metro Police Commission. Earlier I read, I think I handed them in to clerk or finance, somebody? Okay.
Yes.
Ryan resigned from tourism and from finance. Barb had a question with that. I also was on the police commission and prior to here, and I had to resign. So being on the police commission for any of the municipalities, you cannot serve in another entity, so.
Well, that's why I was kind of
Yep.
questioning it. I'm going,
I researched it too, but I remember having to resign too,
yeah,
so.
okay, I will make a motion to
Yep.
appoint Brian Simmons to the Everest Metro Police Commission.
Motion by Ermeling,
I'll second it.
second by Zong. He grabbed it just fine, just fine. I got a really good hearing. Except if I'm at home. And second by Zong. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none? Yes.
Chief Schultz, any input from you?
I have no issues with it, I'll try.
Okay, thank you.
You like him or no? It's okay.
He's got a nice car.
Yeah, he's got it.
That was a joke, sorry.
All those in favor say aye. I'm sorry, yeah.
What's his background?
His background is, works in Anaco, owns Langland Ford. His background is finance. And we put him on HR initially. He wanted to get into finance, so once an opening in finance opened up, he went in there. He has expressed interest in the police commission. The joint EMPD is obviously an elected official spot. And when the opening came up, and if you haven't heard, but Gil Holcomb passed away about 3 weeks ago, and he was our commission president on behalf of Weston. Great man, outstanding man, excellent service, did an incredible job. So there is our opening, and they're gonna, Thursday night, I believe there's a meeting already, and they're gonna have to establish new personnel. Dave Eisenreich is still on there, so he's been a long-standing person on that commission too, so we'll see how it shakes out. You gotta sign him in and all that stuff?
We're just talking about.
Okay, good, okay. So,
All right, thank you.
yep, did we vote on that? No.
No,
Okay.
there's a motion and a
Any
second.
motion and second, by Ermeling and by Zone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Now you have to appoint someone to the finance.
Yes, and he lives right across the street from you, right across the river from you. Yep. And I don't know if I can talk about that just real quickly. Can I get the name or the telephone number of Sukup Carrie? Because when we put on Mr. Oldenburg, she just wasn't in tune with her village email. And then she called and said, yeah, definitely I want to serve again. I go, oh my gosh, we replaced you. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be a natural to bring her back because she was,
Finance.
but then we gotta get somebody for Mr. Bender next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So there you go. Thank you. 51, attorney referrals. Anybody have anything for the attorney?
No.
Remarks from trustees. Lauren,
Nothing.
nothing. Barb? Nothing. Yee? Thank you again for bringing him tonight. Hushain?
Nothing.
Okay, Nate?
Nothing.
One more time, Nate? Okay, just wanna make sure. Maybe you didn't hear the
Thanks for
question.
being a good
Maybe you didn't hear the
sport,
question. Okay, Steve?
Just wanna follow up on what Jim brought, mentioned that there are some discrepancies or whatever with the, descriptions or comments or whatever in different parts of our ordinance regarding the, his fees that he was being charged and followed up on and stuff. I just wanna make sure that staff brings that to, the next planning committee and something that we can react to make sure that it gets changed, so it coordinated better.
So, yeah, I guess whatever items we're gonna play. Any things in the zoning code, I guess if there's some things with the fee
So
schedule.
there were some things that Jim brought up regarding how things were referenced
Some
or
of that probably
terms.
just, you can fix that internally.
The form in contrast to what it says in the fee schedule in the form.
Correct, whatever that was, and I'm sure that Jim shared that with everybody, but.
And Keith and I have had some conversations too on just some of the hot buttons, I think, leave it up to the administrator, yeah, I think he can handle that.
But I think we should have some good conversations at planning, because on some of these minor things, I don't think we want to go through this public hearing again and everything, once it is approved, kind of touching on what you mentioned. It just seems like on some of those minor things, we're spinning our wheels needlessly and costing our people a lot of money and a lot of staff time.
But my only remark I wanted to ask is, Jen, do you have a timeline on Quick Trip where they took Hvac's down? I see them doing some work around the pumps. I thought that was put off a whole nother year.
Yeah.
Is that not true? Fixing something.
Yeah, they're-
23?
they're not gonna start building for 2 years yet.
Okay, 2 years, okay. As they get these, what I'm hearing from the company is as they get these projects, they keep shuffling them, which makes more sense. So obviously, this one being open, versus one not being open somewhere, they're gonna shuffle it around a little bit and then push this one quicker, so we're out 2 years on that one now?
Yeah, they had asked, because the approvals are for 2 years,
And then
so.
another question is that they had purchased the property across from their station on Schofield Avenue, the lane northwest.
Yep.
With some conditions to resell again. Is there any thought that we could call him? I know Keith and I talked about it, but to maybe just kind of beautify it a little bit? I see the gate open a couple times. Is somebody doing that now?
I've never talked to them about it.
No? Okay. It'd be worth a call.
Have the weeds been cut yet or no?
Well,
Yeah, they've been cut.
the gates are open. It just, that's kind of like Brad Wagon forever. You just finally don't see it no more. It's just there.
Mr. President, I'm just a little concerned, we're also going too much into discussion.
That's fine. Just a remark. Okay. Future items, next meeting date, October 25th, 2021, joint finance and board of trustees meeting. That's gonna be canceled, correct, Armando? And thanks for keeping me on task. November 15th, 2021, board of trustees regular meeting, and December 20th, board of trustees, both at 6 o'clock. Everybody okay? And I'm looking for a
Move to adjourn and go back.
motion to adjourn by Feeny, second by?
I'll second.
By Minell. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. No, they played